coffee still warm on the side you used to take. I keep 2 cups out of habit, not mistake. The morning light hits different when it's just for one. I pour yours anyway and watch it go undone. I heard you found a house outside of town with someone who can hold you when the sun goes down. I don't know why I drove past the old cafe. Maybe I just needed somewhere safe to say, I hope your table's full, I hope the chairs are loud, I hope you never once sit quiet in a crowd. Because I know that feeling, silence dressed as peace. I wore it like a coat till winter found its crease. The waitress asked if I was waiting for a friend. I smiled and said, just thinking how things end. She brought me extra sugar, like she somehow knew that someday sweet is all that gets you through. I'm not looking for you in every passing face. I'm learning how to love the in-between and space. But if this song finds you on some ordinary day, I hope it feels like nothing. And I mean that in the kindest way.
The streetlight flickers on at 6:30. He counts his change and picks up what he can fix. A paper bag, a bench, a borrowed coat. He hums a song, he can't quite find the notes. His hands remember work they used to do. A kitchen job, a workshop, something true. Now mornings come without an alarm to keep, and nights are long and never fully sleep. But he's still here, somehow still standing on the corner where the cold wind doesn't care. Still here, no one's understanding what it takes to face another day out there. A woman passes with her dog and nods, small kindness thrown against impossible odds. tips his chin and almost starts to smile. It's been a while since anyone stayed a while. He wrote his daughter's name inside his shoe, so even on the hardest nights he knew that somewhere in this city there's a light, a little girl who's sleeping safe tonight. Still here, somehow still standing on the corner where the cold wind doesn't care. Still here, no map, no understanding, just one more breath, just one more morning prayer. The city wakes and swallows up the night. He folds his coat and steps back into light. Not fixed, not found, not anything like fine, but still here. And sometimes that's the bottom line.
There's a cardigan I never gave back. It still smells like your apartment, and that specific kind of quiet on a Tuesday night, when the radiator clicked and everything felt right. I remember how you laughed at your own jokes, how you burned the toast and filled the room with smoke, and cursed the pan and opened up the window wide. And I was laughing too, just glad to be inside. It's the smell of October that gets me every time, a specific shade of golden in the afternoon light. I don't miss you like I used to, or at least that's what I say. But October always finds the things I've tucked away. We drove out to the coast on your last day off. The heater in your car kept cutting off. You sang along to something on the radio, slightly off key, and I loved you for it. Though I think about the version of me then, who thought that this was something without end. She didn't know yet how the story turned. She was still warm before she ever learned. It's the smell of October that gets me every time, a specific shade of golden in the afternoon light. I don't miss you like I used to, or at least that's what I say. But October always finds the things I've tucked away. safely just been found. I folded up the cardigan last night, not throwing out, just putting out of sight. Some things you keep, not because you can't let go, but because they knew you in a way that doesn't show.
The dishes are still in the sink from last night. Neither of us moved them, and neither was right. We watched the same ceiling for different reasons. Two people in one room, two different seasons. You made the coffee like you always do. Two sugars, no milk. You remembered mine too. And that small thing broke me more than the fight. But you still know me, even at the end of the light. We already know how this goes. We've been standing at the door for weeks. Neither one of us will say it out loud. So we move through the rooms without speaking. We already know. Found your jacket on the chair by the door. I hung it back up like I've done 100 times before. Then stood there a moment, hand still on the collar, wondering how love gets quiet before it gets smaller. We watched a film neither of us saw. Your head on the armrest, my eyes on the floor. The credits rolled and neither one moved. Some silence to say everything that was never could. We already know how this goes. We've been standing at the door for weeks. Neither one of us will say it out loud. So we move through the rooms without speaking. We already know. Tonight you'll sleep facing the window again, and I'll lie still pretending that stillness is in. But somewhere between your breathing and mine, there's a conversation we've been too tired to find. Maybe tomorrow we'll finally say the thing, or maybe we'll just make coffee again. Two sugars, no milk, no.
Don't check your phone tonight. Leave it face down on the shelf. The world can wait a few more hours. Let's just be here with ourselves. I'll put the kettle on. You pick something soft to play. Something without too many words. Just sound to fill the space. Just leave the lights off. Let the candle do its thing. Pull the blanket close and don't think about anything. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to become just two people in a quiet room. And that's enough. The city's still out there, doing everything it does. But in here it's slow and warm, and that's a kind of love. Your socks don't match tonight. You laughed when I pointed it out. That small, unremarkable thing is what this life is about. Just leave the lights off. Let the candle do its thing. Pull the blanket close and don't think about anything. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to become just two people in a quiet room. And that's enough. I used to think that love was grand gestures, airports and rain, and the perfect thing to say. But now I think it's more like this: a Tuesday, a kettle, your face. So leave the lights off a little longer. Let the night do what nights do best. I'm not going anywhere, and neither, I think, are you. So let's just rest.
It was a Thursday, I remember that much. The way the light came through the kitchen at lunch. You said something small and I said something we let the afternoon swallow the rest. I've been running the numbers since you left, mapping every word, every turn, every step, trying to find the exact coordinates of where I stopped being careful with this. If I could start from Thursday, walk back through the door before the silence set in. If I could start from Thursday, I'd say the thing I kept folding back in. But time doesn't work like I need it to. And Thursday is gone and so are you. I called my brother on a Sunday night. He said some things can't be solved with hindsight, that I was always better with the theory than with the actual moment warming near me. And maybe he's right, maybe I stay too much inside my own head when you needed touch. Not flowers, not words, not the perfect response, just presence, the thing I kept getting wrong. If I could start from Thursday, walk back through the door before the silence set in. If I could start from Thursday, I'd say the thing I kept folding back in. But time doesn't work like I need it to. And Thursday is gone and so are you. I still set 2 alarms out of habit, the second one for you, in case you need it. I turned it off this morning finally, and the quiet after was the loudest thing. I'm not a scientist, I just act like one, analyzing wreckage after everything is done. But wreckage doesn't tell you what was worth the most. You only know that when you're missing it the most.
Had the furniture arranged just right. Every corner of my life was tight. I knew which shelf held what, which drawer held when. I wasn't looking to rearrange again. I'd learned to like the quiet, learned to stay inside the boundaries I'd built along the way. Not lonely, just efficient, just contained, a life that fit exactly what remained. Then you walked in unannounced one ordinary night, not trying to be anything, just easy, just right. You didn't make an entrance, didn't say a word worth noting, but something in the room shifted without me knowing. And I don't know what to do with this feeling like a window left open in winter, cold and bright and too much all at once. I built these walls to last, and you just walk through. You laugh at things I'd forgotten were funny. You ask questions no one thought to ask me, not deep ones, just what do you think about this? And somehow that's the thing that I had missed. I caught myself this morning mid-thought, wondering what you'd say about something small. A song, a cloud, a sign outside a shop. And I smiled before I thought to stop. And I don't know what to do with this feeling like a window left open in winter, cold and bright and too much all at once. I built these walls to last, and you just walk through. I'm not rushing this, I'm not naming it yet. Some things are better before they're a concept. But I rearranged the furniture last night, made a little room just in case you'd like to stay a while. The taxi app is open on your phone. I saw the little pin drop near my home. You're doing that thing where you check the time. I'm doing that thing where I pretend I'm fine. The wine is gone, the candle's burning low. There's nothing left that's giving you a reason to stay. But the night feels too large for just one person, and I'm not ready for the quiet yet today. Don't go yet, the night's still warm. I know you're not mine, and I know that's the form. But the dark gets so specific after one, and I do better with someone, anyone. Don't go yet. I'll make you toast, I'll find a show to watch. I'll ask you questions that I haven't asked, about your hometown, about your first real fear. I just want something human to be here. I know what this is, I'm not confused. You're not the answer, I'm not that removed. But loneliness has its own kind of hunger, and tonight I don't have the strength to go under. Don't go yet, the night's still warm. I know you're not mine, and I know that's the form. But the dark gets so specific after one, and I do better with someone, anyone. Don't go yet. Maybe I should call someone I actually know, someone who knew me before I got like this. But it's late, and that conversation takes more than I have left tonight to give. So stay a little longer, just until the gray creeps in around the curtain edge, and then I'll be okay. I'll be okay, I'll be fine by morning. I always am.
8:12, the one I always take. You were reading something dog-eared, slightly bent. A coffee cup balanced on your back, like you'd done this 1,000 times and meant it. You looked up once when the announcement came, not at me, just at the board above the door, and back down to your page without a pause, like the world outside was just background noise. Platform 9, northbound 8:12. The Tuesday I will keep on some interior shelf. You didn't see me seeing you, and that's the whole and perfect truth of it. Some moments aren't for having, they're just for standing in. The train arrived and everyone moved forward. You tucked your bookmark in with one clean fold, stood up and pulled your bag onto your shoulder, and walked into the crowd, and that was all. I found a seat 2 carriages behind, watched the platform disappear into the dark, thought about the version of a life where I had said something, and how it probably would have been less than what I got to keep. Platform 9, northbound 8:12. A Tuesday I will keep on some interior shelf. You didn't see me seeing you, and that's the whole and perfect truth of it. Some moments aren't for having, they're just for standing in. I got off at my usual stop, the coffee shop, the corner, the same gray building. But something in the morning felt like it had been briefly, quietly handled with more care. I don't know your name, I don't need to. Some things are complete exactly as they are. A dog-eared book, a balanced cup. Platform 9, 8:12.
I got the promotion, finally came through. They moved my desk to the window with a view. Sent the news to everyone I know, and sat there in the quiet afterglow. The first person I reached for wasn't there. The chair beside my desk was just a chair. I ordered dinner, ate it standing up, celebrated with an empty cup. 'Cause everything else is just weather. It passes through and changes, and it goes. sun comes out, the temperature drops. Nothing holds unless there's somewhere to come home. Everything else is just weather, beautiful sometimes, sometimes hard to bear. But weather doesn't keep you, weather doesn't know your name. Everything else is just weather without you there. I've been in rooms that glittered like a prize, stood in crowds with envy in their eyes, laughed the right way, said the right things, wore the kind of life that looks good from the wings. But I've also sat in ordinary kitchens with someone who knew every version of my face, who handed me a mug without me asking. And somehow that was the extraordinary place. 'Cause everything else is just weather. It passes through and changes, and it goes. The sun comes out, the temperature drops. Nothing holds unless there's somewhere to come home. Everything else is just weather, beautiful sometimes, sometimes hard to bear. But weather doesn't keep you, weather doesn't know your name. Everything else is just weather without you there. I'm not saying nothing else matters, I'm saying nothing else holds the same weight. You can build a life that looks like everything and still be standing at the wrong gate. So if you're asking what I'm looking for, it isn't on a list or in a plan. It's just a kitchen, just a mug, just a person who hands it over knowing that I can.
Cooked for two again last night. Old habit dressed up as appetite. Set your plate before I caught myself, and stood there fork in hand, someone else. The recipe was yours, the one you found in that market on the edge of town, torn from a magazine, taped to the wall. I never moved it at all. And I can't look at the kitchen without finding you there, in the steam, in the spoon, in the evening air. I know you're gone, I know how this is supposed to go, but I still set a place for you, because my hands don't know what my head knows. Your handwriting is still on the grocery list, third drawer down, I know exactly where it is. Milk, lemons, that tea you liked from the shop on the corner that I still haven't stopped at. People say time does the thing it's supposed to do, and maybe they're right, maybe I'll get through. But right now time moves strangely in this house. Some rooms feel like you just stepped out, and I can't look at the kitchen without finding you there. In the steam, in the spoon, in the evening air. I know you're gone, I know how this is supposed to go, but I still set a place for you, because my hands don't know what my head knows. I ate alone, of course, I always do. Cleared both plates like I've been meaning to. Washed the one I shouldn't have gotten out. Dried it slowly, put it back without a sound. There's a version of me further down the road, who cooks for one without the weight of it, who moves through kitchens lightly, freely whole. I'm working toward her, I just haven't met her yet. Never noticed how you hummed while doing dishes, or how you always check the lock twice before bed. I never thought to ask about your childhood wishes. I was always somewhere slightly further ahead. I took for granted how you laughed at my impressions, even the bad ones, which were honestly most. I didn't register the weight of small progressions, the way a person slowly becomes your coast. Only after the door closed did I hear the silence. Only after the warmth left did I feel the cold. Only when the ordinary turned to absence did I understand what ordinary holds. You only know the harbor when you're lost at sea. I only knew what you were when you weren't here with me. I keep replaying ordinary Saturdays, the market run, the coffee, nothing planned. How you'd pick up fruit and ask me what I thought, and I'd say fine without really looking at your hand. I'd look now, God, I'd look now at every unremarkable and fleeting thing. The way your sleeve was pushed up past your elbow, the specific way you held everything. Only after the door closed did I hear the silence. Only after the warmth left did I feel the cold. Only when the ordinary turned to absence did I understand started noticing things differently now. The way light moves, the sound of someone's shoes. I pay attention like I'm making up for something, like presence is a skill I'm learning not to lose. Too late for us, I know. I'm not pretending, but maybe not too late for who I'm becoming. Someone who looks properly at ordinary mornings and knows exactly what he's holding while he's holding it. I have a drawer full of things I never sent, folded notes and half-finished paragraphs, things I meant to say on ordinary evenings that turned into silence before they could last. There's one from April, 3 years back or so. I remember the specific quality of that light. You were laughing at something on the television, and I thought I should say it tonight. But the moment moved the way moments do, into the next thing and the thing after that. And the note went in the drawer with all the others, where the things I almost said have always sat. I wrote it down instead, put the words somewhere safe and still, told the paper what I couldn't tell you, and the paper, patient, kept it until I wrote it down instead. And you went on not knowing any of it. Two people in the same warm room, and only one of them carrying this. I wonder sometimes how you would have taken it, whether you'd have laughed or gone quiet for a while, whether something would have shifted in the ordinary, or whether I'd have simply earned a smile. I think about the version where I said it, stumbled through it, inelegant and true. Maybe clumsy would have been the right approach. Maybe clumsy was exactly what we needed to get through. I wrote it down instead, put the words somewhere safe and still, told the paper what I couldn't tell you, and the paper, patient, kept it until I wrote it down instead. And you went on not The drawer is full now, I should probably clear it. But every note in there is proof of something real, that I was paying close attention all along. I just couldn't find the door from thought to feel. Maybe that's enough, to have loved something carefully in the quiet, to have written it down, even if the page was all that ever heard it.
We moved in with 3 boxes and a plant that neither of us knew how to keep alive. We split the shelf space and the grocery bill and called it love because we needed to survive. You were 23 and I was barely that. We played at home like children playing house, cooked elaborate meals we couldn't finish, then ate in silence, moving around each other like clouds. We were too young for this kind of quiet, too green to know what silences could mean. We thought that love was just deciding to stay, not understanding all the weight that's in between. We were too young, but we were trying and trying. I think counts for something still. You cried once in the bathroom with the tap on. Thought I couldn't hear, but I was just outside. I didn't knock because I didn't know how, so I made tea and left it by your side. That's the thing that breaks me looking back. Not the fights, not the ending, not the cold, but the tea left outside a closed door by someone too young to be that old. We were too young for this kind of quiet, too green to know what silences could mean. We thought that love was just deciding to stay, not understanding all the weight that's in between. We were too young, but we were trying and trying. I think counts for something still. We gave the plan away before we left to the neighbor on the 2nd floor. She said she'd take good care of it. We stood together in the hall and didn't say much more survived, grew quite tall apparently. Funny how some things need to leave a place before they finally get what they need to be. I used to pull the curtains tight against the day, let the hours stack up quiet in the gray. Kept the world at arm's length, kept myself inside, built a life that fit exactly where I'd hide. But something shifted somewhere I can't name, like a window open in a room that always stayed the same. I walked outside one morning without reason, and the air hit different, like it knew it was my season. I belong to the morning now, not the version that just waits for night to pass. I belong to the open window, the coffee while it's hot, the first light on the glass. I've been underwater long enough to know what it feels like when you finally break the surface. And I belong to the morning now. I belong to this. I called an old friend on a Tuesday afternoon. We talked for 2 hours, lost track somewhere around noon. Laughed at something stupid from a decade back, and I thought, there it is, I thought, I want that. I bought new shoes, I took the longer route, sat in a park and let the afternoon stretch out. Watched a dog chase something it would never catch, and found that I was smiling at the match. I belong to the morning now, not the version that just waits for night to pass. I belong to the open window, the coffee while it's hot, the first light on the glass. I've been underwater long enough to know what it feels like when you finally break the surface. And I belong to the morning now. I belong to this. I'm not fixed, I'm not finished, I'm not new. There are still the hard days, still the weight I carry through, but I carry it differently now, lighter somehow, like I finally introduced myself to now. The curtains are open, the coffee is hot, the morning came in, and I let it.
I'm not good at grand gestures or the right words at the right time. I forget important dates, and I can't carry a tune in a straight line. I burnt the dinner twice last week and lost the keys again on Friday. I'm a slightly disorganized person, trying to love you in an organized way. I don't have a view from a rooftop or a story that would make a good film. I don't have a speech prepared for the moment. I've just got a Wednesday and a windowsill. But I don't have much, and I have this. your shoulders drop, the way I save the last of something good for you, the way I always know when you need quiet and when you don't. I don't have much, but I have this, and I'm hoping this is something. I thought about writing you a proper letter with all the things I never say out loud. Sat down 3 times with actual paper, ended up just drawing clouds. Maybe that says something about me, that I think in shapes when words fall short. But every cloud I drew was yours somehow. Every window had your light in it, of course. But I don't have much, and I have this, the way I notice when your shoulders drop, the way I save the last of something good for you, the way I always know when you need quiet and when you don't. I don't have much, but I have this, and I'm hoping this is something. I know you've had people who were better at the beautiful, who showed up with the right thing at the right hour. I can't promise I'll be that, but I'll show up imperfect and on time, and notice every ordinary thing about you, like it's the most remarkable thing I've ever found. Because it is. It just is.
I know the pattern by now. I've traced it enough times to see the shape. It starts with a name in my phone that I promised myself I'd erase. It's late and the city is quiet, the kind of quiet that turns into sound. And I'm sitting here doing the thing again that I swore I had finally unwound. I tell myself it's just one message, just checking, just closing a loop. But I know before I've even pressed send that I'm already back in the soup. I keep the wrong door open, leave the light on for the thing that hurt me. I know the room, I've slept in it before. Cold walls, familiar ceiling, same old story. I keep the wrong door open, like some part of me hasn't agreed yet that the dark I know is not better than the light I haven't found. There's a version of tonight where I don't send it, where I put the phone down and make tea, where I read the book that's been on the nightstand and wake up clean and proud of me. I've lived that version, it exists. I've had those mornings earned and still, but tonight the pull is specific and quiet, and I'm standing at the windowsill. I keep the wrong door open, leave the light on for the thing that hurt me. I know the room, I've slept in it before. Cold walls, familiar ceiling, same old story. I keep the wrong door open, like some part of me hasn't agreed yet that the dark I know is not better than the light I haven't found. I didn't send it. Sat there for an hour with my thumb above the name, then put the phone face down and watched the ceiling. And the quiet came, and the quiet stayed. Not fixed, not free, not finished with it. But tonight the door stayed closed, and maybe that's the only kind of progress that nobody else sees but you.
I had a plan at 22, a notebook full of things I was going to do, places I would live, the work that I would make, the kind of man I'd be for my own sake. The notebook's in a box beneath the bed. I haven't opened it since God knows when. Sometimes I think I hear it in the dark, the younger version rattling at the latch. I don't regret the road that I took. Most of the detours gave me something good. A daughter who laughs like the world is hers, a quiet life that holds more than it first appears. But sometimes I think about the version of me I meant to be, standing somewhere I never reached, looking back at this. Does he recognize me? Does he understand that life is what happened while I was making other plans? The version of me I meant to be, I wonder if he's proud or if he's just relieved that someone made it through. My father worked the same job 30 years. I used to think that that was something like defeat. Now I see the discipline inside the staying, the love it takes to keep returning to the beat. I called him on his birthday, said not much. We talked about the weather and his knee, but somewhere underneath the ordinary, I think he knows I finally understand what he was trying to be. But sometimes I think about the version of me I meant to be, standing somewhere I never reached, looking back at this. Does he recognize me? Does he understand that life is what time while I was making other plans. The version of me I meant to be. I wonder if he's proud or if he's just relieved that someone made it through. My daughter asked me what I wanted to be when I was young, before all this. I told her honest and present and kind. She said, "That's not a job, Dad." I said, "I know. That's why it's harder." I know you've had a year that took more than it gave. I watched you carry things you didn't know how to name, smiling at the right times, holding yourself together in all the rooms that asked you to be fine. I didn't always have the words. Sometimes I just sat nearby, made the coffee, kept the quiet, let the evening pass without asking why. Because some people need solutions, and some people need a place to fall. And I've learned which one you are, and I've learned how to answer that call. I'll be the constant thing in the weather that keeps changing, the same cup on the same shelf when everything else is rearranging. You don't have to hold it all together, not in this room, not with me. I'll be the constant thing, so you can just be. I remember the night you sat on the kitchen floor, not dramatic, just done, just out of more. I sat down with you, didn't ask a single question. We stayed there till the cold came through the door. That's the kind of love I understand, not the kind that shines in the easy light, but the kind that sits on cold floors without needing it to be more than right. I'll be the constant thing in the weather that keeps changing, the same cup on the same shelf when everything else is rearranging. You don't have to hold it all together, not in this room, not with me. I'll be the constant thing, so you can just be. I've never been that kind of person, but I promise that when the night gets specific and the weight of it gets worse than worse, and you reach in the dark for something solid, I'll be the thing your hand finds every time. without fail. Every time.
We said goodbye in April, maybe May. The details blur a little more each day, but the feeling stays precise and undiminished, like a sentence that keeps starting but won't finish. I moved apartments, changed my morning route, took your number out and put it back, no doubt. Tried a different coffee shop, a different part of town, but somehow every street just circles back around. You called on a Sunday, nothing specific, just checking in, you said just seeing how. And I picked up before I'd made the choice, like my hand already knew before my head did somehow. It's the orbit we keep, no matter how far out we drift. Something in the gravity between us keeps bending every distance back to this. I've mapped the exits, I have walked them. I know exactly where the door is, but the orbit we keep keeps pulling me back in. I'm not blaming you for being what you are. I'm not blaming me for not getting far enough. Some connections aren't about deserving, they're just about the specific weight of us. My sister said let go and mean it this time. My friends say you're too smart for this by miles. They're probably right, they usually are, but love doesn't run on logic or on files. It's the orbit we keep, no matter how far out we drift. Something in the gravity between us keeps bending every distance back to this. I've mapped the exits, I have walked them. I know exactly where the door is, but the orbit we keep keeps pulling me back in. I think what scares me most is not the holding on, it's that I don't know who I am when this is gone. You've been the weather I've been dressing for so long. The standing in the sun feels somehow wrong. Maybe one day I'll find out what I'm like in a life where this no longer has a pull, where Sunday mornings come without that specific weight, and quiet feels like quiet, and full feels full, but not today. Today, the phone is warm in my hand, and I'm already saying your name.
We've been doing this long enough to know each other's silences by name. The one that means you're tired, the one that means you're fine but not the same. I know which drawer you leave half open, which mug you'll always choose. I know the specific way you sigh when the day is taking more than you could use. And I could take all that for granted, let the knowing turn to furniture, let the years make us efficient, two people moving smoothly past each other. But still, after all of this, I catch myself watching you from across the room. Still, after all of this, Something in me reaches when you enter. I don't say it enough, I know I don't, but it's there in every ordinary thing I do. Still, after all of this, it's still you. Last Tuesday you fell asleep on the sofa, book open, glasses on, the lamp still lit. I stood there longer than I needed to, just taking in the ordinary gift of it. I thought about the version of me years ago who hoped that love would feel like this one day. Steady and unhurried and still curious, still glad to be in the same room at the end of the day. But still, after all of this, I catch myself watching you from across the room. Still, after all of this, something in me reaches when you enter. I don't say it enough, I know I don't, but it's there in every ordinary thing I do. Still, after all of this, it's still you. I'm not good at the anniversary speeches or finding words that match the size of this, but I'm good at being here tomorrow and the day after that, and noticing and staying and meaning it. That's my version of the speech. That's all I've got. And after all of this, I think you know that's everything. I practiced what to say in the mirror this morning, arranged my face into something that passes, wore the right clothes for the version of me that doesn't make people adjust their glasses. I got there early, found a corner to stand in, watched the room fill up with people who fit. They knew each other in that effortless language. I was translating every word of it. Someone laughed at something I hadn't caught. I laughed a half beat after, slightly wrong, and felt the familiar small adjustment, the feeling of being almost but not quite where I belong. I take up the wrong kind of space, too much in the quiet, too little out loud. I take up the wrong kind of space, never quite settled inside any crowd. I watch from the edges of ordinary moments, wanting in but not knowing the door. I take up the wrong kind of space, and I've been taking it up since before I kept score. I called my mother on the drive home. She asked how it went. I said fine, it was good. She said I sounded tired. I said just the traffic. We both understood. I've gotten better at the surface of things, the nod, the smile, the appropriate reply. But underneath the surface of things, there's still that kid who never knew quite why. I take up the wrong kind of space, too much in the quiet, too little out loud. I take up the wrong kind of space, never quite settled inside any crowd. I watch from the edges of ordinary moments, wanting in but not knowing the door. I take up the wrong kind of space, and I've been taking it up since before I kept score. There was one moment near the end of the evening, someone asked me something real, just me, and I answered without arranging my face first. And they nodded like they actually heard what I said. I held that on the drive home, small and specific and true. Maybe the wrong kind of space is just the right kind that hasn't found its room yet. You were 4 months old the first time you grabbed my finger. Didn't know what you were doing, just held on. I stood there in the kitchen, completely undone by something that's small and that's strong. Your mother laughed and said I was ridiculous, standing there crying over a grip. But I wasn't crying about the finger, I was crying about everything it meant. That you were real and here and mine to watch, that the world had made room for this specific you, that I was gonna get to see what you'd become. And I couldn't believe that that was something I got to do. The day you learned to wave, you waved at everything. The window, the dog, the man at the corner shop. Like the world deserved a greeting, and maybe you were right. Maybe that's the thing I'd forgotten, that the world deserves a wave, and you remembered it without being taught. You asked me once why grown-ups don't skip. We were walking to school on a Thursday morning. I said grown-ups were in a hurry. You said that sounded like a warning. I thought about that for the rest of the day. How somewhere between 7 and 34 I traded something in without noticing. The day you learned to wave, you waved at everything. The window, the dog, the man at the corner shop. Like the world deserved a greeting. And maybe you were right. Maybe that's the thing I'd forgotten, that the world deserves a wave. And you remembered it without being taught. You're 7 now and already so certain about the things that matter and the things that don't. You told me last week the clouds look like feelings. I said, what do you mean? You said, some days puffy, some days gray. Some days the sky is just trying to figure it out. I've been writing you down since the beginning, because time does what time does. And I want to remember every version of you before the next one arrives. You are the best thing I didn't plan for, the proof that the good stuff doesn't always announce itself. You just appear, and suddenly that's what everything was building toward. I've been through the kind of year that changes the shape of things, where you reach for something solid in the dark and find the wall has moved 3 inches left. I lost some things I thought were permanent, said goodbye in rooms that didn't ask for ceremony, and carried home a silence that still hasn't cleared. But I've also seen the early light come through a dirty window perfectly. How something worn and cracked can still make something beautiful of what it's given. Even the broken things catch light. Even the tired hands find something worth the holding. Even the long way around arrives somewhere. Even the fractured note is part of something whole. I'm not saying the hard things weren't hard, but even the broken things catch light. And I've seen it enough to know it's not a lie. I sat with a friend carrying something heavy for longer than anyone should carry alone. We didn't solve it, didn't fix the weight, just sat until the sitting felt like home. She said, I don't know why, but I feel lighter just from being heard. the simple, stubborn power of a word. Even the broken things catch light. Even the tired hands find something worth the holding. Even the long way round arrives somewhere. Even the fractured note is part of something whole. I'm not saying the hard things weren't hard, but even the broken things catch light. And I've seen it enough to know it's not a lie. I don't have an answer shaped like peace, just this morning and the one before, and the accumulation of small evidence that something here is worth the staying for. The cracked cup still holds the coffee. The voice that's been through something still sings, and the song is truer for it. I really think the song is truer for it.
I used to keep a list of all the things I hadn't done, the places I'd not been, the versions I'd not become. I measured every morning by what still was missing, and somehow never noticed what was already here. But something shifted quietly, I can't say when exactly, the way a season changes without asking your permission. I looked up from the list one ordinary evening, and the room was warm and full, and that felt like enough. Enough, right here. The light through the window, the sound of someone near. Enough, right here. Not everything I dreamed, but more than I knew. I spent so long arriving, I forgot that I'd arrived. Enough, right here. Enough. My mother used to hum while hanging out the laundry. I never asked her what the song was. Now I wish I had, but I catch myself humming something on a Tuesday, and I think maybe that's how the good things carry on. I called a friend I'd let too many months go quiet. We talked until the city outside went dark, and afterward I sat there in the stillness, feeling something settle gently in my chest. Enough, right here. The light through the window, the sound of someone near. Enough, right here. Not everything I dreamed, but more than I knew. I spent so long arriving, I forgot that I'd arrived. Enough, right here. I don't need the story to be bigger, I don't need the ending to be grand. I just need the coffee while it's warm, and someone who will sometimes right here. The light through the window, the sound of someone near. Enough right here. Not everything I dreamed, but more than I knew. I spent so long arriving, I forgot that I'd arrived. Enough right here. Enough right here. This is it. This is enough.